You know, sometimes in life, the remarkable can look so unremarkable.
Awesome. Thank you. Do you have my number to send it to?
Take, for instance, that red-headed young man enjoying himself at a small social gathering in New York City. What might not seem noteworthy is in fact a huge leap forward. If you recognize 18-year-old Callum deQuevedo, it is because we first introduced you to him 11 months ago.
How are you feeling?
Good, pretty good.
Callum had just gone through what he and his family hoped would be a life-altering brain operation to tame the involuntary tics, movements, and outbursts caused by a severe case of Tourette syndrome. Doctors inserted wires into Callum's brain and a neurostimulator under his collarbone, hoping small currents of electricity would bring his worst symptoms under control. The results?
How are you since I last saw you?
I've been a lot better. I had a really good point of time where I was just, my tics were at a minimum. It was probably the best summer I've had in 4 to 5 years.
What in life has changed for you now?
I am just able to go out with my friends more. I don't get weird looks at places I go to. Even playing sports is a lot easier. I play tennis, so it's really nice to be able to hold the racket without shaking all the time. And my social life has just gotten a lot better, and I don't have as many problems or tics that take my attention away from the classroom or from reading. It's wonderful. I really can go and start doing activities and not take multiple breaks throughout it.
Mom,
Yes.
what's your report card? How do you see it?
I think everything is still a little bit of a work in progress.
But how much better is he?
Oh, I mean, it's just night and day from where we were a year ago.
When you say night and day better, list off for me why.
At home especially, he's more functional. He was laying in his room a lot, he would try to do everything to kind of remove himself from even our family and society, spend a lot of time kind of hiding away, trying to control the tics. Mm-hmm. And now, we don't see him a lot now, but we don't see him a lot because he's going out with friends.
When we first met the family, Callum would scream in the middle of the night. Tourette syndrome drove him to hit himself in the face. His mother's desperation was so obvious.
It's really hard when you have a kid this age who's really looking forward to doing things in life. And you're sitting as a parent saying, I don't know if you can.
But now,
It seemed like before the surgery, y'all were going towards a cliff.
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
now we're backing away from that cliff. We're pretty far away from the edge of the cliff right now.
I think you're pretty far away.
I think it's easy for us to see Callum having a future. And I think when we spoke last year, that was one of the big things it was very hard for us to see how he would even be maybe independent.
doctors don't ever promise miracles. But Callum's doctor is thrilled with how her patient is doing.
His results after deep brain stimulation have been really amongst the best that we've seen. It's not 100%, but I think the substantial benefits that he has had from the surgery were things we would not have been able to see with just regular medications.
Oh, I get it on video, all right.
And as a celebration of his progress, at the Tourette Association of America's recent gala, I invited Callum to the podium to do what was once unthinkable, address an audience.
Tell everybody what life is like now with the device in the brain.
So it has just improved my social life to a point where I cannot describe. It has made my life so much better, and it has really improved my quality of life, allows me to hang out with friends, but also further my education and help advocate more consistently and not have to take breaks throughout the day. And it's really a wonderful thing.
Proud of you.
For Callum and his family, it has been a year of enormous strides. Where there was once anguish, there is now hope.
I'm really excited for my future because I'm able to express myself in full sentences. I'm able to stay engaged in society and be part of groups and do group activities, and even just stuff by myself. I feel a lot more comfortable. I feel perfectly fine to be me.
Wow, David. I mean, just the fact when we're looking at the surgery, anything that's by your brain is just terrifying just on its own. Let's just start with that. But to see Callum standing at the podium the way he was and speaking the way he was, that was awesome.
Let me tell you something, Gail. When I first did the interview with him, his mother carried the interview. She did a majority of the talking. This time, he handled the interview. It was remarkable. I mean, I had tears in my eyes because I realized what that would do for his life and his ability to lead the course of his life moving forward.
Well, you've talked very candidly about your struggle with Tourette's. What does this mean to you, David, to see how far that he's come and how he must be feeling?
I can't tell you how grateful I am that the bosses even let me tell this story on television, because when I was growing up, nobody was talking about having Tourette's on television. And since we first did Callum's story, I've heard from so many patients and parents who have said, when you talk about yourself or when you talk about somebody having Tourette's, we see ourselves. And that, I think, is the impact. That is the nationwide impact that this kind of storytelling has. So I'm humble and I'm just grateful.
David, when you talk about impact, I'm curious, what does the success of Callum's surgery mean potentially for the wider community of people with severe Tourette's?
Well, so Tony, first of all, this procedure isn't even covered by insurance usually. I mean, they had to wrangle the insurance to get them to pay for it with Callum. This means it could happen for more people. This means the results help doctors say, okay, this does work for TS. It's experimental right now. The hitting of the face he used to do, basically non-existent. The yelling in the night doesn't happen. But since we did the interview, he's now back home doing school from home. He got out of school. He had to step out again because the Tourette's, when he went back into the classroom, kind of picked up again. So it's a give or take, right? It's still a riding of the accelerator to figure out what works better. They turn the dial consistently, a little up, a little down, but that's okay because for them, they are in a much better place.
And he's got a confidence, too, David, that's nice to see.
Yes.
Standing up in front of a crowd,
Yes.
that ain't no joke.
A small improvement is a large improvement.
Yeah.
David, thank you so much. You did it again. We appreciate it.